I was strongly Jewish, and then I went to being like maybe atheist or just not believing that there's a God, getting married to the woman of my dreams, and seeing that she had she had a relationship with God, and me being very clear to her that like this is a relationship that I don't think is necessary for me to have. So whatever she does, it's up to her. But I was definitely um, vocal to a extent where it's like you don't need to pray or you don't need to pray for me. Like everything that I can get, I'm gonna get from my own hard work. So asking for God's help is like just hoping that you win the lottery someday. It's purely based off of luck, which is not something that I was willing to buy into or to accept. My name is Sam Boyd, and I've been living in Thailand for last 3 years. I work in logistics. So what we do is we ship cargo from Asia to North America, and I'm recently a Christian. Yeah, so growing up being raised in a Jewish home, I think that you could say that I was culturally Jewish. So for the majority of my childhood, we spent it focused on celebrating Jewish holidays. There's the Jewish identity aspect of a culturally Jewish family. And then also going to Hebrew school. So I got bar mitzvahed when I turned 13, and focused our holidays were all the Jewish holidays. My curiosity with God, I think, started when I was like 16, but I think that curiosity was sparked not really with God, but with just the community aspect and the friendship that I found within the Jewish community. So it's hard to, looking back on it, it's hard to see if that connection really was strongly tied to God, or if it was tied to just being part of a group and having friends where I felt like I could belong. So I think that there's definitely this question and this thought that I have of God. Who is God? What is my relationship with him? But when I compare it where I am today, it was never really with the goal of trying to know who is God or who is God to me. It was really just kind of trying to fit in. When I was in high school and then starting college in the US, I had this focus of Judaism, that I was definitely like very focused on being Jewish. I think that as I grew stronger in the Jewish religion, also just my values of being a Jew got to be a little bit stronger as well. I grew up in like a very conservative, like a reformed sect of Judaism, where it was you would go to synagogue on Friday nights or Saturdays sometimes, and then you would go to synagogue sometimes during holidays. And then when I was in high school, my final years of high school, I changed and I stopped going to the synagogue that my parents went to, and I went to a Lubavitch synagogue. So Lubavitch is like the most extreme religious sect of Judaism. They're like the ones that you see with the payas, the sideburn curls, beards. They wear the black hats, black clothes, and for them, Judaism is very much focused of almost like what you can more relate to in the Old Testament, focused on maintaining a lot of their values. And this is actually where I felt a sense of belonging. And it got to the point where I was following in this direction. So I started to keep kosher dietary restrictions, would spend my Sabbath, totally void of all electronics, all types of work. And really focus my time just with other Jews, going to synagogue during different holidays. There'd be fasting involved, and this is where the more involved that I got, the more that I felt a sense of belonging. And this is sort of where I went back to before. When I look back on that time, I can't really answer if that was a connection with God or if it was a connection of just wanting to belong. I wish I could say it was one or the other, but it's hard to kind of differentiate the two based off of where I am today. But yeah, I mean, it was like I would have been considered a conservative Jewish person at that point. Would wear a yarmulke on the top of my head, have those like the tzitzit coming out of my clothes, which are the four corner tassels. And it was definitely had a focus on studying the Torah. Once I got into college, it kind of I the friends that I had in this community, we got more distant, and with getting that type of distance, I distanced myself from Judaism. After graduating college, I moved to China, and at that point, I was like, I totally lost entire faith in God. I eventually got to this point where I was not convinced that God was real. I would tell people, and I would tell myself that people need God because they have this longing for an answer as to why are we all here. And the people that believe in God are the ones that need that answer. And what kept me further away from faith was like, I didn't need that answer. I was totally okay with the concept of we're here because we're here. We're here because we're lucky. And I lived that way for quite some time. So most of my time was kind of spent being prideful of myself, being prideful of the concept that everything that I get in life or all the accomplishments that I have, it's 100% from me. It's my work. It's my hard work. It's my choosing, my doing. It was so much to the point where my wife, Naomi, she grew up in a Christian family. Her father is a pastor. Her brother is a pastor. And she would mention that she'd be praying, or I would see her in prayer, and I was grossed out by it almost. Sorry to say it, but it rubbed me the wrong way. So where this transition sort of happened was like, I was strongly Jewish, and then I went to being like maybe atheist or just not believing that there's a God, getting married to the woman of my dreams, and seeing that she had she had a relationship with God, and me being very clear to her that like this is a relationship that I don't think is necessary for me to have. So whatever she does, it's up to her. But I was definitely vocal to a extent where it's like, you don't need to pray, or you don't need to pray for me. Like everything that I can get, I'm gonna get from my own hard work. So asking for God's help is like just hoping that you win the lottery someday. It's purely based off of luck, which is not something that I was willing to buy into or to accept. Our first couple of years of being married were difficult. Our daughter Celia was born prematurely. She spent 66 days in the hospital. She was born 3 months premature, so she weighed 880 grams. Her foot was smaller than my thumb. And I have small hands. And when she was born, like her skin was see-through. You could see her organs. It was a scary time because we were living in China. It was during COVID. And we just we just had each other. Like we didn't have family living in China. And we got through it. Celia's amazing. She's healthy. She's smart. She's everything. She no health complications at all. Like, thank God for everything that happened. But during that time, all that hard work, everything that I saw my daughter go through, that was Celia's strength, or that was her parents' strength. That was our strength of being able to watch over her and get her there. I started my own business. So when I moved to China, I started my own business, and I mean, I was like the struggling entrepreneur. When I first started, wasn't making any money, eating like in the types of noodles that the construction workers, who were the migrant workers, that would go to eat, just because they're literally the cheapest. It's the cheapest food option in China. It's all I could really afford. And I'd always been working hard. My point in saying this was that when I was going through life and business was starting to get good, or get better than what it was before, and when I was watching Celia go from being in the neonatal ICU for 66 days and then having to come home and need oxygen constantly, need constant monitoring, I'm seeing all of these things everything is getting better and better. And it was my firm belief that everything that was getting better was because that my wife and I were working hard. We were trying hard. This was on us. This was all us. And we went from what was a difficult first couple of years of being married, having Celia. Business wasn't that great. To then, like, everything is just kind of starts to come together. And I have pride with that. I have pride with the fact that I was able to finally figure out my way with business, figure out how to be successful, figure out, how to be a good parent, be able to watch my amazing wife be an incredible mother to her daughter. Like, this was this was the success. This was the peace that I was finding. It wasn't really until it felt like I genuinely had everything that I started to sort of have these questions of, like, something's missing. What is it that's missing? Like, what else? Everything that I've worked towards, everything that I've been worried about or focused on, it's coming together. But it doesn't feel whole yet. Like, there's still a missing piece. I have the first person to really connect with me, and I think that he connected with me in a way that, to this day, like, I don't even know if he knew he was connecting with me, was a customer. His name is Daniel, and he would always talk about Jesus. And me being a business owner, being in sales, like, you're a yes man to everything. Whatever your customer thinks or whatever their political affiliation is or their religion is, you're just kind of like sitting around, like, nodding, like, agreeing or making them feel like, we're one on one. And I was consistently doing this more and more with Daniel. He would talk about Jesus. He would talk about homeschooling his kids and the importance of, being able to ensure that his children have a strong Christian foundation. And the best way of doing that is him being able to work with his wife and really control what his kids learn, to talking about just every issue that he ever faced. It always just came back to something about the Bible or something about Jesus. This faith was incredible to me. Like, it was he's so confident in everything that he's saying. And it started to make me see that, like, this guy is successful. He's a very successful businessman. He's got it all together. And when you ask him a question, his answer always points to Jesus. So for me, while I'm going through these stages of seeing success now for the first time at, like, a continuous level, but also feeling that something's missing, I have this desire of wanting to go to church. And I didn't admit it to myself. At the time, I said, I want to go to church just because I want to be around good people. That's it. For a brief moment after Celia was healthy, we moved back to the U.S. and we were living. We purchased a house at the time, and we were living in a new city that's new to all three of us. And we didn't have any community there, so we're like, hey, let's go to church. And I was kind of the one to sort of push this concept. I didn't say let's go to a synagogue. I said let's go to a church. I have to look back at it today and say it was Daniel. That it was something from what he was saying that really, like, introduced this concept to me. Seeing him as a normal, happy person. So I said, what's the kind of Kool-Aid that he's drinking? I want to go check out a church and see what's up there. And we did, and we went to a church in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, in the U.S., and it was okay. It felt good. I was not ready to accept Jesus, but everything they said, I was the guy that was like, yeah, I like this guy. This Jesus guy, like, he was a good guy. It made sense. And this is like growing up as a Jew oh man, the word Jesus is like, it's a dirty word. It's not a curse word. It's like it's a dirty word. Like you say it and you feel like you like dirty or something. Um, and then hearing the name Jesus like over and over again at church, you start to feel a little bit more comfortable with this with with this man's name. And then we stopped going. Uh, I don't really know why we stopped going. I think it just wasn't like the church wasn't right for us, but it got us in the door. Um, then we moved to Thailand. So living in the U.S. wasn't for us. We moved back to Asia, to Thailand, and I wanted to go to church. It was like everything in my life is just feeling like it's I'm at peace. Like I'm happy. Like my marriage is super strong, stronger than it's ever been. We're waking up every single day happy. Business, it's great. Like it's not like in survival mode. It's just like I'm running a business. I can take time off when I need to. I can, focus on it and get it to grow bigger. It's amazing what I'm seeing. Celia is going to school. She's in nursery school and she's she's a kid. Like it's amazing. And I want to go to church. And I mentioned it a couple times. I think my wife's not really ready at the time. And eventually she mentions church one time and immediately I'm like, oh, I know where to go. I already like mapped it out. I found Life Church in Bang Na, had reached out to them and I had it ready. It was like, this is the church that makes sense. I looked at all the churches in near us in Bangkok, and it seemed like it was a good church. It seemed like, yeah, these guys are cool. It didn't feel too stuffy. Like it didn't feel like I was gonna get have to answer any uncomfortable questions or anything. It felt like it was right. And the moment that Naomi mentioned we should go to church, like I was like, done. Like, let's do it. We can go. And we went on Sunday, and yeah, well, we've been going ever since. Actually, the first day that we arrived, a little nervous. Something that's kind of funny about it is, and I still kind of think this is funny to this day, but like I didn't know what to wear. I had no idea what to wear to church. Growing up Jewish, like you're always wearing nice clothes. Like you're wearing a suit or you're wearing at least like a button-down shirt. So I was looking through like videos on Google or photos on Google of like this church to get an idea of like what are people wearing, and I couldn't believe it. Like people are just wearing t-shirts and everything. I still couldn't do it. Like I put on probably like just a button-down shirt, and when we arrive, I see Pastor Tim Suku, and it's before worship, and we're kind of, Celia, Naomi, and I are all kind of just standing around. Like some people come to say hi, shake our hands, we small talk. And I see Pastor Tim, talk to him for a little bit. We exchange our background and everything. And, I had prepared myself. I was like, kind of the same reason why I'm looking at like, what is everyone wearing? I don't want them to know I'm like I don't know, like a closet Jew. Like what do you, I don't know what you call myself. Like a non-believing closet Jew. I don't really, I just want to fit in. And the reason I want to fit in is I don't want anyone to like push anything on me. I'm here for me. I'm here for me and what I think the right path is for me to go down. I'm not here for someone to tell me what path I should be going down. And, I start talking with Pastor Tim, and he mentions that like, there's a group of guys that hang out, and he said, you should come. I can be honest, I was a little weirded out by it because I'm thinking like, what do you mean? Like, what's going on with this? What do you mean a group of guys? Like, I was nervous. I was apprehensive, I should say, about like what this was. And he said, we're just hanging out. It's just like, it's fellowship. So I don't know this word. Like I'm hearing like brotherhood and fellowship many times, like in my early journey of becoming a Christian. And I don't really know what that means. Like fellowship, it sounds weird, but whatever. I'm still relatively new to Bangkok. I don't have any friends. yeah, why not? Like, Naomi is supporting me. She's like, you should definitely go. So I go and hang out, and it is what it is. It's exactly what he said. It's just a bunch of guys that are hanging out and talking. And there's conversations of God, there's conversations of the Bible. And the first time that I went, we're at Tim's house, and at the end, everyone decided, everyone wants to pray. And Tim goes around and says, like, is there anything, I can pray for? And everyone's got something to pray for, right? I remember, like, first Mark goes, and Mark is just saying that he's starting a new business, and he just really wants guidance on this business, so we can just pray for this. Daniel is talking also, like, Daniel, I think Daniel mentioned something about praying for his wife, for Toi. And I think there's about 6 of us here. Everyone just has something. Dylan's mentioning something about praying. Dylan prays for, this was so funny for me at the time. Dylan says that the orphanage kids that he works with has a rugby match, and he wants us to pray for that. And then it's my turn. Like, I'm like, whoa, dude, I don't know what to pray for. Like I'm not ready. I wasn't ready for that. And I even knew the question was coming, and I didn't know, like, what do I pray for? And I said, like, nothing. I'm good. And I'm like, why? I'm like kicking myself. I was like, Sam, you got to be prepared next time. So that everyone prays and everything. And the reason I said I got to be prepared is I didn't want them to know, like, I wanted them just to think that I'm another Christian. I didn't want to lie to them, but I didn't want the conversation to go from just us hanging out and being bros to, like, again, being, like, sort of indoctrinated or something. So I tell Naomi about it afterwards, and, like, the next week rolls around, and I asked her to help me. I was like, help me, like, can you help me come up with something that I need, like, that I can say to pray about? Because I'm just not prepared for it. And then I finally get a little bit more comfortable talking about, like, coming up with stuff to pray for. And the connection that I'm getting with these guys, it's getting closer and closer, and it's getting to the point where it's like, I said this to Naomi, I was like, I think I'm ready to come out to them. Come out to them as being a what I've been calling myself as a closet Jew. I think I'm ready to come out. And I had the first conversation that I wanted to speak with Daniel, and who I'd felt very comfortable with, and started to talk to Daniel about. I told him my background, just almost exactly what I've told you right now. And I was ready. I was ready for, like, what is going to happen to me? Like, are they going to start, like, coming at me with Bibles and, like, start, like, beating me to the truth or something? But no, Daniel just listened. He just said, that's amazing. Answered my questions, and that was it. It was like a weight was off my shoulders, man. Like, it felt so good. I think about 2 weeks later, I told the rest of the bros. I said, guys, there's something I want to share. And I share with them exactly what I shared with you. And it was the same thing. It was like I wasn't really nervous at that time. Like, what are they going to say? I actually felt like I knew so much about them. Like, I had such a strong connection. And there was something that I was so scared of hiding. And then when I realized, like, this is not something that I need to hide, it made me feel bad. And I look at now as to, like, why I didn't need to realize that I didn't need to hide it, and why it's something that's emotional, was because, like, it's something that you should be proud of, that I am proud of. And so I told them, and it was they embraced me. They're so happy. They're happy to hear it. And from that point forward, it was it was the strength that I needed, the acceptance, the the kind of nonverbal, like, okay from God of saying, like, this is something that you can move. This is something that you can move forward with. Like, you can continue asking questions. You continue learning. You can continue learning more about me. You can continue learning more about the faith. There's no like, nothing bad is going to happen to you. You're just gonna learn, and wherever that takes you, it's where it takes you. The relationship with this group of guys was not like relationships that I have or that I've had. I think that as men, like, we've been conditioned to feel or believe that, like, the masculine relationship is like just being aggressive or joking about things, and like kind of like supporting one another in a supporting role where you're not really saying, like, I support you. You kind of like are getting the sense, like, yeah, they're there for me, they support me or whatever, but it's never admitted. The relationship, though, that I had at the start with these guys, and still until today, is different. It's 100% supportive. It's admitting, it's like there's a sense of being vulnerable and that being okay. And it made me feel comfortable. It made me realize that, this is why people say, like, they want Christian friends. They want people, and of course not everybody, but like they want people that they can feel comfortable be around, to feel supportive of, to be there for you in ways where, other people you might not want to admit, or other people might not be there for you where they are. And that was the feeling, and that was the sense that I was very quickly able to get with this group. As I'm feeling like I'm getting so much more connected, my connection is it's not to say, like, the connection is these guys. It's not to say that the connection is this group. It's not even to say that the connection is just going to church. Because here's the thing, is like, on Sundays, dude, I would be bawling my eyes out every single Sunday, like trying to hold it in. I'm like, why am I so emotional with this stuff? Look around, though, and see that there's other people teary-eyed as well. So I felt like, okay, it's okay. Like, I don't need to be embarrassed or shy about it. And then just being able to just be myself and talk about things that are difficult, or talk about just things that are fun, or not even talk about anything of importance at all, and just feel good being around Christian friends. And during this time, I'm continually asking these guys, I'm asking them more and more questions, and I'm starting to get focused on the Bible, and I begin the journey, the exploration of, like, what else is there that I'm supposed to do beyond just go to church and, hang out with some Christian friends. And I just begin listening to audiobooks and reading. I read the Bible. I listen to the Bible, a reinterpreted version. What is it called? It's like it's not the actual Bible. It's like it's like a Bible for someone that wants to just, like, understand it without it needing to be, like, textually accurate. Read it. This is my first time in the New Testament. I was like, okay, so I have a foundation. Then I read Mere Christianity, and I liked it. Mere Christianity made sense, but there's a point. I'm probably butchering the quote in it, but there's a point in Mere Christianity where C.S. Lewis says, like, it's not, you can't just say, like, oh yeah, I agree with Jesus. This whole time I'm thinking, like, yeah, Jesus makes sense. Like, I'm not disagreeing with Jesus at all. Like, my frame of acceptance at this point is Jesus exists. Was he resurrected? Did he die on the cross? I think that we could say he died on the cross. Was he reborn? Was he resurrected? That I was kind of stuck right there. And there, in this point in Mere Christianity, it's it was kind of revealing to me that like you cannot just say like, oh yeah, Jesus was a good guy, I believe in him, like I agree with everything, all of his teachings, but stop right there. You can't just stop right there. You need, if you are agreeing with what he's saying, if you are leaning into his teachings and willing to accept the historical events that happened, you're not being faithful to the truth by just stopping yourself right there. And that's kind of where it hit me. I was like, I think that I'm ready for the next steps. I think that I'm ready for the next steps. And then I read The Case for Christ. And The Case for Christ was like, that was good for me because I looked at it from the same sense of where I was, right? Like, Lee Strobel was like this. First off, I want to go back. I'm not a reader. Like, I don't read. Like, I think the last novel that I read was like the book Holes or something, which was like an assigned reading in like the 5th grade. But like I was craving knowledge, and I think from reading books, it was a way of safely doing that, or another way of safely doing that. And what Lee Strobel was his whole concept was like, he was an atheist. His wife, I believe she was Protestant. He was like always like against her going to church and everything. And him being from like the investigative reporter side was like, I'm going to prove to you that Jesus wasn't real, or Jesus wasn't resurrected, or I'm going to prove whatever all the Christians are saying is true. I'm going to say it otherwise. I'm going to do the research. And it's like, thank God for him that someone's doing the work, because all I can really do is just be a skeptic, and he's the one that's actually putting in the work. So I'm like, yeah, I'll read the book. And you read the book, and I'm feeling the same feelings of excitement and realization that I can imagine he was doing when he was doing all of his research, and to the point where I was like, wow, okay. I was like pretty sure that Jesus was real. Now I'm 100% sure he's real. I was pretty sure that he died on the cross. Now I'm 100% sure he died on the cross. And I was like, did he rise from the dead? And it was there that I was like, okay, I'm in. Like I'm 100% in. I believe in Jesus. And I had to sit with this for a little bit, because this was scary for me. Going from this Jewish background to then the atheist background to now recognizing that, accepting Christ, or going down this path of accepting Christ. Because even at this point, I didn't accept Christ. I just accepted the reality, which is definitely different. But when I went back to the New Testament, I also felt a connection there. It was like, as a Jew, like as a Jewish person growing up, the concept of Christianity was always this touchy subject of like, kind of don't go too far with that, or like, you don't want to have to answer the door to someone wearing a black name tag and have to have a conversation. Like, you just kind of stay away, basically. To now me seeing like, actually, I recognize when reading the New Testament, when they're talking about Jews and the difficulty, it was all starting to make sense, basically, is what I'm trying to say. But I didn't want to. I asked the guys. I said, like, what is next? And Tim said, like, you would get baptized when you're ready. He didn't tell me to get baptized. He said, I asked him, what are the next steps? And he said, you get baptized when you're ready. And I wasn't ready. I just wasn't there. But I did ask, like, what can I do? Like, what should I be doing? And Daniel told me, he said, you can pray. You can pray that just for God to just fill you, for God to just be there, for God to just allow the Holy Spirit to work within. And I started just as, my prayers were like, God, I don't really know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know, like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know if I like bend down on my knees or something, like, but here I am. Please fill me with the Holy Spirit. Help me go down this path. Between the day that I started going to church, it was 9 months until I started talking to my brothers, and I said that I want to get baptized. And I said that I don't want to get baptized. Like, I watched baptisms at this point. I saw that a lot of people would get baptized at the church. I said that I didn't want to get baptized at the church. When I closed my eyes and I saw myself getting baptized, it was in an open body of water. Why? I don't know. Maybe this is like my first. There's a Jewish ritual of a cleansing that's called like a mikvah. Maybe it's because I went to Israel at one point when I was a teenager and did a mikvah in the Dead Sea, and that was like a very spiritual feeling that I had, and it felt like it was just I wanted to be in an open body of water. And they said, yeah, just like we can do it wherever you want. You want to do it at a pool? You want to go down to the beach? And I said, yeah, let's I want to do it at the beach. And by God's grace, I mean, we all went to the beach. I mean, if you want to talk about support, like it's an amazing feeling. It's truly a spiritual blessing to go from this journey to Christ where you're kind of lost and alone and feeling like you've got it all, but something's still missing, to then finding your way to a group of friends, of brothers that you can truly feel safe with, that you can really connect with and just enjoy life with, to learning about God on your own volition and them being there every step of the way to support you. And we all went down together, and we all went down to the beach, and Pastor Tim with Daniel by my side baptized me, and it was an incredible, it was a spiritually exciting feeling. It was a little bit of a intimidating feeling because you're fully declaring your acceptance, something that, you know, for 30 odd years I'd been kind of like turned away by this concept of accepting Christ, and here I am, you know, openly getting baptized and and talking about it, giving my testimony. But it was the best thing to ever happen to me, and it happened to me with the best of friends that I could ever imagine. With this new chapter, I'm most excited about learning. Learning about God, learning more about God, learning about my faith. I think it's one thing to accept Christ, but it's another to know Christ. And what I've been learning up until this point is the more I learn, the closer I get to him and the closer of a relationship that I have with him. And when you kind of identify that, like, the more you learn, the closer you are. When you have this love for Jesus Christ, it's like, when I think of the next chapter, fill me with knowledge, fill me with understanding, so both I can understand, I can answer more questions that I personally have, that I can ultimately have a better relationship with God. But it's not only that too. It's I want to be able to better articulate the feelings that I've had internally. For me, this was a spiritually awakening moment, but it was also a journey that took I'm 33. It took so many years for me to get here, and it took, which I thought was the opposite of what people had. Like I found God when I felt like I was at the top. And usually you hear testimonies of people talking about finding God when they're at the bottom. And regardless of where you find God, though, for me, what I'm recognizing as such a ultra important aspect is being able to articulate why I feel this way. Why do I have such a close connection? And the Spirit fills me within. The Holy Spirit fills me within, but I still feel this like the sense of wanting to be able to articulate it with more than just my feelings. It was Scripture that brought me here, and it's the next journey is 100% it's Scripture as well. That's what's going to take me there as well.
Amazing. What can you say to those people who are on the fence, or I don't know, like just an advice, and then people like you who are walking the same path as you, maybe just
I didn't feel rushed to get baptized. When you read about just about anyone in the Bible that was like that was following Jesus, they were questioning him miracle after miracle. I mean, even when he rose from the dead, people were like astonished, couldn't believe it. So I always found peace with this concept of like, if you could walk beside the human flesh of Jesus Christ, witness the miracles that took place, and still feel doubt. If you're in the position that I'm in, which is like, I kind of see it, but I'm not yet ready, I think that it's okay. It's okay to take your time, because the time will naturally come. But you need to be allowing yourself to be vulnerable, to open up, to talk about it, to speak with Christian friends, to talk with pastors, to really have your questions answered, and also to pray, even if you have no idea what you're praying for. If you just start praying, these are the steps, because these steps, they're not binding. You're not locking yourself in. You're not, you're not doing anything different than what you would do with any other conversation. The only difference is that it's spiritually focused. And when you're ready, the time will come. I would say that you don't need to rush it. You do it when you feel ready, and you'll know when that time is. But at the same time, I do want to share that I'm so happy that I did it now. Like, thank God that I did it now, because looking back, what I thought allowed me to be successful was my own pride, my own strength, my own good fortune, my own hard work. And the reality is that what got me here today is God. And I feel so silly that the times where he was there for me and I was not, I was ridiculing him, or I was refusing to accept him or believe in him. He was still there, but he was giving me so much. The reason that I say I'm so happy that I'm baptized, that I'm a Christian today, is because I know now that I can spend the rest of my life praising him, thanking him, and allowing his Spirit to fill me. So when the time is right for you, you'll know, but don't be scared to be vulnerable and ask God for help as well.